Welcome to Holding Space. Michael Zen is a visual producer and creative photographer using his imaginative visionary energy to channel Zen and hold space for spiritual and innovative discussion. Each episode creates a supportive, accepting, and open environment that allows exploration and expertise to come together with engaging and entertaining convergence. With guest and community all helping the shape of the way, Michael is grateful to be together to hold space. Now here is your host of Holding Space, Michael Zen.
Yes, here I am holding space again. I'm holding this space right here for you, for me, for my guest, out of intention, out of accountability for the moment, creating the moment, all of these amazing things. That's what we're doing here. It's Tuesday, November 4th. Man, oh man, the year has the last couple of months have just flown by. I think once the summer ends, it's just like it starts to speed up, and then next thing you know, it's the holidays and all of that. But January comes and I get to intentionally slow down time again. We did that this year. At the beginning of the year, I was like, you know what? Every week it feels like, boom, another episode. Here I am again. I'm going to just enjoy the time in between and let it feel like longer in between. And it did. I don't know how I did it. It was intention. It was just thought, and it was just perception, and it worked. But then, like I said, the summer caught up, and boom, now here we are in November. But anyway, welcome. I appreciate you guys for being here. Jennifer Rose, always there in the front row. I see you right there. Hashtag live. Awesome. If you are watching live, please participate. Hit like, share it with your friends. It's just basically you clicking a button, but maybe you know people who like having conversations with deeper meaning and, more intention or different intention. I don't want to say more or less, right? I've been on this polarity kick about nothing's really better or worse, right? It's just a spectrum and preference. So there you go. Kara H, welcome. Good to see you here as well. Good evening. I love the Sacred Spiral Network. Let me give a quick shout out to the Sacred Spiral Network because people tune in from all around the world, any time of day, even if they're all the way over in Australia and, it's 4 a.m. there, they're watching shows now. So I appreciate this network of people who are all very intentional with their energy, with their time, and with their love. So thank you guys for being here. Hashtag love, hashtag love, hashtag live, hashtag love. It's like a typo. It's the same thing. Anyway, I'm babbling, and that means I need to focus. And you know what that means? I'm going to clear the space. I'm going to sage the space, not with the traditional burning sage, but with sage, my bowl. And I see my camera's going nuts there, flickering. I don't know what's going on. I've got to do something about my camera. But anyway, let's do something about clearing the space, setting intentions for the moment. 3 breaths together, right? It's just like in through the nose, 3 or 4 seconds. You hold it for a second, and then you intentionally push it out, right? You don't breathe like that all day, but when we do these 3, we intentionally push it out. We release all of the things that we don't need, like my camera flickering. I'm going to release that, right? Maybe it'll go away. So let's do that with the bowl. Let's breathe in together as I sage the space. Nice breath in. Release. Another one in. And release. And one more. Last one in. Make it a deep one. And push it out. Let it go. Let it go. Let it go. I love it. It's so funny. I say this all the time because when I do that, in my head, I'm like, oh yeah, breathing, right? It's so easy, and it's what keeps us alive, and it connects us with our soul. So There we go. We've just grounded our essence and we are here together holding space. What's up, Faith? Good to see you. What's up, Jennifer McCormick? Good to see you. What's up, Jules? People are packing in the front row. Thank you for being here. The energy's building. I love it. Tonight, I have a guest who has been around on the Sacred Spiral Network. I saw an interview on Jennifer Rose's show, and Kelly has hooked me up tonight with Tammy Terrell, who is, I'm about to learn who she is and what she's all about. I did a little research and you're going to learn too, but welcome to Holding Space, Tammy Lynn.
Hello, everybody. Thank you, Kelly and Jennifer Rose, for connecting me. And you pronounced my name correctly. What is that about?
What, Terrell?
Yeah.
Oh, really? People usually say it wrong?
Well, they don't say it wrong. They just, another way to say it is
Terrell.
Yes, my name's Tammy Terrell, and if I get a call for Tammy Terrell, then I know that probably it's some kind of sales job happening. So. Well done.
Cool. I had actually a acquaintance named Dave Terrell.
Okay.
So
that's probably why then.
Where I just, it was in my head. But welcome to Holding Space. And
Thank you so much.
I'm excited to meet you. I read a little bit about you. You had a little bit of a military career, kind of, right? And therapy, which I always relate spirituality to therapy and healing, to therapy. I find it very similar, kind of addressing things spiritually is a kind of a therapy, I think, for a lot of people. So I definitely see the connection. But why don't you start and tell me how you got there? Like, what brought you into the military aspect of it?
Well, I'm not sure how much detail I can go into, but I love to tell my story of my father was a Navy Seabee. He was out by the time I was born, but he was based out of Okinawa. And I think it's my first semester in college, age 19. My father died, service-related connected death of ulcers and things like that.
Wow.
And had no idea. About a month after he died, I received a letter and it changed my life, saying that he got the posthumous disability, 100% disability award, which it said, here you go. This is going to take care of at least your undergraduate, which was a miracle. It was a miracle.
Wow.
And so whenever I finally graduated with my counseling degree, I said, you know what? I didn't really plan this, but out of the blue, as universe tends to do, I got the opportunity to not only work as a military counselor, but do some travel overseas. And so that set the course for what I never thought I would be in. And to this day, I'm a military counselor with children.
Wow.
It's beautiful. And I never saw any of that happening, and kind of led me to the astrology world as well. Like, how did this happen? And it's pretty amazing.
So you kind of lost me there for a second, but I was caught in the military thing, and your dad thing. So you went to having kids, and then all of a sudden you said you got into the astrology thing. So what was the part that got you into the astrology thing?
Well, thank you for asking that, because I don't know that it was very clear. I was amazed that this poor girl from small town Texas could get this opportunity to go overseas and work in military.
Mm-hmm.
And I wanted more understanding. I'm a Gemini moon, so understand, learn, teach, learn. Mm-hmm. And so I did more study on it. And I'm amazed as I study charts over the years, how there are certain transits, particularly Saturn and maybe Mars, that comes through and completely, and Uranus sometimes completely turns your world upside down. And none of the most major things in my life that have happened, I had no idea were coming, but they can all be explained in a chart. So
Okay.
that's what I meant. It led me that
I
direction.
got you. I got you. So you started to make a correlation between the astrological energies and events that were happening specifically to you.
Yes.
Interesting. Interesting. Wow. Okay.
Not
So,
determined. I think my belief is that there's fate and there's freedom within that. Jennifer and I had that discussion on her show.
mhm,
There's
mhm,
freedom within that. So the chart doesn't determine you, but it
mhm,
certainly has a what they call a natal promise. I like that
mhm,
term, natal
mhm,
promise.
mhm, mhm. Interesting natal promise. Yeah, I mean, I believe that as well. You know what I mean? I feel like there's definitely, certainly, like destiny is not the right word. I think language is kind of limited, right, to describe some of these things that we like to talk about. But I do believe there's a bit of destiny in kind of your essence, right, and in your mission. Although
Absolutely.
I do believe that there's a spectrum of essence, right? So in other words, maybe
Yes.
you're not the greatest person, when you're younger, but through that experience you learn lessons and you become a better person, right? So now your essence has changed kind of from one aspect of yourself to the other aspect of yourself, but those are both aspects of yourself. You just kind of find a preference. And I'm talking this way very specifically because I had this discussion with Suri. I don't know if you know Suri Sawyer,
I've
also from,
seen the name.
she's on the Sacred Spiral Network, and we talked about polarity. We had this big
Okay.
conversation about polarity and good and evil, and that they both exist, right? And like, what makes good better than evil? Now, obviously, in that spectrum, good and evil, the language makes one thing better, right, than the other one, right? But what about people who are aligned with evil, right? They don't see evil as worse than good. It's a preference. And I'm saying that, I'm sorry to take a tangent, but like, an easier way to describe that is hot and cold, right? That's another spectrum of possibilities that are part of the same spectrum. They're one thing, but what makes is hot better than cold or cold better than hot? Well, that's a personal preference now, as far as humans go, right?
Yeah.
So if there's the spectrum, right, and hot and cold are frequencies, and you find the frequency that you like, I feel like it's the same thing for everything, right? In other words, everything is one big spectrum, but you just find the frequency where you want to exist, right? And for me, that was good versus evil. That was, oh, I've aligned myself with good because that feels better. I like the way it feels to me. I like the way it looks, as far as like people responding to me, right? And the effect that I have on other people. I like that. And I think that's, you used the word light workers when we started
Mhm.
talking backstage. And I think that's what we're talking about. I think light workers are people who have aligned themselves with good. And then even as you go further down that alignment, then I feel like you start to tap into things like psychic mediumship and, different frequencies that allow you to tap into the non-physical. I mean,
Expand the mind. So you bring up something, the other day I was watching, a YouTube, I think it was presented by Kepler College, and they were talking about the charts of I can't remember his name, but from the Carpenters, the brother,
mm,
him, and they compared he had the same chart as Charles Manson.
oh geez.
But the difference was the same placements, very similar placements, but it's what you do with it,
Right. Right.
you
That's
know?
kind of what I'm talking about too. Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, wow, amazing. Yeah, because, again, I mean, it's so difficult with language sometimes that I'm trying to think of how to put something. But like, if everything is connected, right, then it's like, again, there's that freedom that you're talking about, that will, right, of where do I want to be in that soup of everything, right? You kind of, that's like your the vibe, your vibe attracts your tribe kind of thing, right?
Indeed.
You're looking in the soup to find the warm spot, where you feel comfortable and you can float with all your tribe, and everybody can feel comfortable in that same frequency.
Yes, and all the curveballs that, Earth School can throw and that
Yeah.
vibe. shifts. And I found a lot of that explanation in the different types of charts. For those of you who are familiar, the North Node and the South Node. South Node is what you're born into and your comfort level and what you can do naturally. But that North Node, it can look lots of different ways, but it's going to be within that realm.
Mhm.
And my experience, not only at doing charts, but also my own life experience, is that universe is going to get you on track if you're off. There
Yeah.
are self-corrections, if you will, and they're not always painless.
That's true. Yeah, no, I agree. And I think that, again, there's a lot of different things that we subscribe to, right? When we look at these things, and the idea that, you've kind of come here to learn certain lessons, right? And if you don't learn lessons, they're going to keep coming at you until you learn them. And then when you learn them, I feel like you shift, your essence shifts. You're like, okay, now I can navigate much easier, right? The lessons are still coming at me, but in much pleasant ways. You know what I mean? Much more pleasant lessons. Like, again, I feel like I mentioned creating reality, right? Creating my own reality. I feel like I'm doing that, but that doesn't mean like I don't encounter bad stuff, right? Like, and I've got to kind of now look in the mirror and say, well, what part of me created that, right? If I believe that I'm creating my reality, then some belief that I have, that maybe isn't at the conscious level, maybe subconsciously created that situation or experience.
Yeah, I'm still watching the Guy episodes to try to get
Again, I say all of this stuff and I say it pretty confidently, but sometimes I'm like, I still don't know exactly what that means, right? Because it's still language. I'm still human. I still have to feel physical things. But again, I think as empaths, we're much more in tune with our feelings and that aspect of communication and frequency, what that is.
Well, and you probably heard this, but it's so cliche, but it's cliche because it's true. The older I get, the more I realize how much I don't know.
Yeah.
I knew so much
Yeah.
when I was younger. I know very little now.
Yeah. Well, I think you start to realize that knowledge isn't this thing. As you learn things, you're like, oh, knowledge is this. No, knowledge is way more than I even can fathom. You know what I mean?
Ooh,
Yeah. Yeah. But I think that's exciting. I think that's, for me, that's been a positive force in my life. I think that
absolutely.
there's many people who go through life, fearing death, right? And that's a big thing for me. Like, I don't fear death. I certainly know that as a physical being, I'm not always going to be here, right?
Sure.
But I don't feel like that's the end of my story. You know what I mean? I feel like this is just a little pinhead of my story, this physical aspect of it. So for me, like, I'm just gonna try to enjoy it as much as I can while I'm here. And we were talking about that too before the show, about just like, being very intentional with your energy and what your choices are. I think that relates to what you were saying about free will, right? Like, you have a free will whether to wake up and be like, oh man, another day, or ooh, another day, right?
Yes. Some days more difficult than others. Uh,
Mhm.
but a little trick I do, sound a little
I
goofy, but
don't, but share it with me.
I shall share, is that if depending on what dreams I had or whatever visions or whatever I had in my sleep, wake
Mhm.
up and just kind of in a funk,
Mm.
I pretend like, because I've noticed if all of a sudden you get this phone call with this wonderful news, your mood shifts. It doesn't matter how tired you are, how hungry you are,
Yep.
anything, you shift.
Yep.
So when I'm mindful about it, and I try to be, I just pretend like I just got this amazing phone call with great news.
Cool.
And then I go, because I work with young kids, and it doesn't take very long for them to make your day. So that helps.
No, I love that. I love that. And again, really, you're in control of your perception. And yes, again, certainly things are going to come at you that you're going to just not be ready for, and you're not going to handle the best way, but you're going to be able to learn from that and look back and learn from that. So let's talk more about I don't want to necessarily call it metaphysical. I don't know if astrology is metaphysical. Would you consider astrology a metaphysical art
It's
or
actually pretty
study?
scientific.
Yeah, I think it's pretty scientific. Yeah.
It appeals to my math nerdiness and measurement and all of that. It's pretty precision, believe it or
So
not.
okay. So let's get into this then. Let's talk about it on that level.
Sure.
What do you think specifically it is that I don't want to say controls it, but what is so, obviously it's the idea of the position of celestial bodies, right?
Well said.
In space, right? Um, what does that have to do with what it claims it has to do with, right? Like how could that affect my personality? Why would that affect my personality?
I'm gonna do a very layperson description,
Cool.
best I can. But my understanding is through hours and years of watching and learning and reading and all of that, because that's the amazing thing about it. It's like a vortex. The more you learn, the more you want to learn. It just like
Mhm.
sucks you in.
Yeah.
Um, but my understanding is that when you're born, which is why you want an exact time if you can when you get a chart done or drawn up. For those of you who don't know, astro.com, you can pull your own up. If you don't know what time you were born, just take a guess, maybe a 9 a.m. or a noon. It's going to ask your birth location. Well, the exact placement of the time of your birth, planets are in a certain location and it has a certain vibration. So, for example, I am I'm a 10th house Taurus, and what that is, 10th house is career, but it's also public persona.
Mhm.
Taurus is I don't like change, fixed sign. I like things to be the same. It needs to be comfortable, and I need to be because it's governed by Venus. I need to love what I do
Mhm.
because
Mhm.
Venus is the love planet.
Mhm. Mhm. Mhm.
So that's my career house. It has to be the case. I need to love what I do. If my career is not good, I'm not good. And I'm a Capricorn sun. Capricorn's all about work, right? So that vibration also, we were talking about music. Taurus governs the throat part of the body. And
Mhm.
so public throat. I'm a singer.
Mhm. Mhm.
That's
Mhm.
just one way it can manifest, but there's a certain
Mhm.
vibration of Venus at that
Mhm.
level, and so when Venus comes around, transits around, and I know I'm doing a rough description of this, it's going to affect throat. This affects medical astrology.
On everybody.
Yeah,
Okay. Okay.
because everybody good question. Everybody has every sign in your chart.
Mhm.
Question is, what time were you born, what date, what location? That's gonna determine where in your chart it is.
Mhm. 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 Mhm.
Tomorrow's
Okay.
Taurus moon.
Okay. So again, I'm kind of curious, and I think I have my own ideas. Jennifer Rose says you're an amazing singer.
Aw,
I
thank
definitely
you,
want to talk about.
Jennifer.
I want to talk about that. I told you I want to talk about the musician aspect and just like the regular part of your being, right? As far as okay, you're an astrologer and you're into all this stuff, but you also a regular person. You do regular stuff. But anyway, um,
There are some that would disagree, but
but again, like, I mean, is it gravity? Is it, you said something, I mean, frequency, I believe I'm a big believer in
frequency,
frequency and
vibration.
energy. So what, I understand that over the years it's been determined that Taurus, this energy has to do with your throat, right? That's been
Yep.
determined that way. But I'm just trying to, I guess, find out like what is it about the placement of the planets that would determine that? You know what I mean? Like, like it's electromagnetism and gravity and all of these things combined. Just that specific combination results in that effect.
Well, I don't know that I have an intelligent response to this, but I've read enough books that I should.
Okay. Sorry.
So what I do is I read and I read, because I'm not an easy sell, particularly if I'm gonna use it with clients.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah.
So what happens is I read enough and practice it enough to be convinced, and then I forget about the details.
Yeah. So
That's
you
just
know,
who I am.
I
Gemini
got you.
moon. It's how I
I got you.
learn, and also Sag Mercury. I want just this much. Okay, I'm sold. This is really amazing. It's really working. It
Mhm,
certainly is completely accurate in my life. And I see people's faces when I give them readings and they just start crying.
mhm,
Like,
mhm.
and it's not just sometimes, it's
Okay.
every time. Not
Right.
every time that people cry, but every time that it's accurate. It just
Right.
blows my mind.
Yeah, I definitely can see that because that's I feel like almost like an energetic, almost like a download, right? If somebody's telling you something about yourself and you're like, wait a sec, you're remembering, oh wait, that is true about myself. Those are traits that I have. There's an energetic signature to that that I think you're tapping into. I mean, I feel like for me, that act of crying is such a significant moment, that you're whatever's happening at that moment in your brain, in the conversation, and in the circumstance is like take notice because
It's a
that's
release.
it's so significant. Yeah, you're just touching a part of your soul that is the non-physical part. you know
Well, and with the lack of connection, I won't get on a soapbox, but with the lack of connection, particularly since, what was it, 2020?
COVID, yeah. Mhm.
Yeah, to have a human being look at you, sit with you, and be able to help you to better understand some major things that have happened in your life, that's connecting.
Mhm.
That raises vibration. That's ultimately what I want,
Mhm. Mhm.
to be a
Absolutely.
conduit to that.
Absolutely, and I think it's I'm a big subscriber to that's what the planet needs. You talked about light workers, and I believe, there's like almost like a credo, right? A creed or a credo, I don't know what the word is, where it's like we're all walking each other home, that kind of thing,
Yeah,
we're
it's
all in
nice.
this together. And again, really to me, it's like that spectrum of belief, and you can put yourself where it feels best, but it's like we're all in this together is one part, and every man for himself, is the other side of it. And a lot of people seem to subscribe to that. And, it's, I feel like it's unfortunate, but again, there's a part of me that's like, okay, well, that has to exist. It could be over there on that side while I'm over here on this side, but it has to exist because the whole thing needs to exist. That's that back to that polarity thing. I don't mean to be getting on a
It
soapbox
is.
and talking about my beliefs, but I feel like
I
that's a
totally
part of
agree.
what these conversations are doing for me, really, is like they really make me think about why do I think what I think? You know what I mean? And faith is helping me out here. A credo is a personal declaration of belief, while a creed is a formal collective statement of that's
Yeah,
awesome, Faith.
thank you,
Thank
Faith.
you so much for that clarification. I love that. People are listening. I love that. Adam Fagan, what is up? Hi, Tammy Lynn and Michael Zinn.
Hello,
What
and can I respond to Courtney, if you don't mind?
please do,
Courtney
Courtney.
was being helpful. She said the birth time should be on the birth certificate.
Mhm.
Unfortunately, not all countries put birth times, and
Mm,
anymore, even here in the US, some counties are not putting birth times.
yeah. I had to actually call my mom and ask her to tell me, and I wrote it on a little Post-it so that I always have it now, and I know what town and that I was born in and what time. Obviously, I know my birthday, and year, but yeah, it is important. And I think, I've had my charts done, and I definitely have found accuracy in it. And I'm like I said, I'm a huge believer on things that are outside of myself, bigger than myself. And actually, as I say that, I'm very big on words, right? And what I say and what they mean. So when I say I
Interesting.
believe in something outside of myself, I'm really all about what's inside of myself, right? That was the journey
Right.
for me that brought me to this. But when I say outside of myself, I mean outside of the physical realm, I think is really what I mean when I say that, like things that are not physical. What's up,
and
Brian
individuals.
Lark? Good to see you there.
Yeah.
A really cool meteor shower swarm the next few nights. Do we attach any energetic association to meteors? That's a good question, Brian.
Yeah.
Tammy,
A
what's
deep one. I have nothing.
nothing? We don't know about meteors. Interesting.
I do know that we have a wonderful planetarium here, where I am in San Angelo, and the skies are whiter in West Texas, so to speak.
Yeah, for sure.
So, yeah, thank you for that. I'll try to catch those for sure, especially with that full moon tomorrow.
I love anytime I go outside of New York, I'm always amazed. My folks moved to Arizona about 20 years ago,
Mhm.
and they moved to a town called Fountain Hills, which was way, way off the beaten path at the time. And I remember the first time I went to visit, we pulled up to their driveway. I got out of the car, I looked up at the sky, and I just sat down on the driveway, and I looked up at the sky for probably 20 minutes, just because I could see so much more of it than I could ever see here in New York. And I was just mesmerized by the energy of it. So, again, that's why I feel like that was why I asked that question about what is it about the position of the celestial bodies. But, I know for me, there's definitely a big part of my mind, my thoughts that are out there. You know what I mean? When I look out there, like I feel like home, you know what I mean? Like
Yes.
there's something about it, that's familiar, I guess you would say.
Great. Yes, that's a great reminder.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So what have you found as far as understanding? I think that people who, kind of have a knack for astrology and remember all of the signs and what the traits of those signs are, and then not only is it just the signs, but like it's also what time of year and what position everything's in and how it affects each sign. Like
Mhm.
there's thick books
There's
full of that
so many
information.
layers.
So I feel like there's a certain kind of person like you who takes to that information and kind of remembers it and navigates that way. So I guess my question was going to be, how has that affected you and the way you live and the way you relate to other people?
Well, I will tell you that, living in the Bible Belt and going on blast, going public before I really thought about it,
Mhm.
that I'm an astrologer, has been interesting.
Mm.
Radio silence.
Mm. Wow.
Like, fiddle-dee-dee, let's go to dinner, have some tea.
Wow. Really? So they're not really into it out where you are.
Well, I think it's more being scared of it.
Mhm, mhm.
But
Not
people reach
understanding
out
it.
all
Sure.
the time, but, like, on the down low, you know?
Sure, sure. I think it's the same thing with psychic mediums, right? There's a lot of people who,
Absolutely.
on the DL will be like, "Hey, do you know someone I could talk to?" For sure, for sure. And I
I
mean,
think I can't remember where I shared this, but, when I first, because I was working overseas up until, June of last year, and I came in from Japan. I'd never been here, and here being San Angelo, I'm from about 4 hours away from here, and, so I move here, and I thought, "You know what? I'll try the dating scene. Let's see how this goes." And the first guy tries to save me from Satan.
oh boy,
And I'm like, because we were talking about, he asked me what I was interested in. And this is very much a big part of my life.
right?
And I go, well, let's consider that you just did. I'm like, oh no, what's this going to be like?
Oh
So,
my goodness, that's a little crazy.
so that's the not as positive part of the effect on my life, but
Mm,
there's so many beautiful parts, and believe it or not, even West Texas, easily the most conservative in the US, there are so many light healers here.
oh,
I mean,
good.
like, there's a huge tribe, if you will,
Yeah.
here.
Yeah.
And so I'm going to be starting doing astrology readings at a local place called the Chicken Farm and another one at Hippie Hysteria. And,
Nice.
there's tarot readers there. I mean,
Awesome.
it's really beautiful.
Yeah, and again, I think what's happening, I think, is the vibe is finding its tribe, right? People are starting to find each other, and these conversations are starting to happen. I mean, again, the Sacred Spiral Network. I was backstage looking at all the shows Kelly has lined up, and I'm just like, oh my God, look at all of these shows, like all of these amazing people. Every single
Oh,
person on the network, every show that I see, the conversations are just amazing. The open-mindedness and acceptance,
love it.
which I think is an important vibration to sustain. It's really huge. So I did see a couple of questions I want to ask
Yes,
you.
please.
Michelle, Jennifer Rose just basically had a basic question. She said, so what does the full moon have for us, Tammy?
Ooh. Well, let me double check my notes to make sure I have it correctly. Yeah, full moon in Taurus. And yeah, and that is like kind of a calmness. Like I had kind of a family emergency this morning
Mm,
and everybody's kind of twisting off, but I was able to just kind of stay in that calm. That's that full moon in Taurus.
mhm,
That we're in the pre-glow of. It'll only be here, a moon will go through pretty quickly.
mhm, mhm,
But yeah, it's a big one though. It's super moon and all that. So it kind of depends on where you have that moon. Again, mine's in the public persona. What
mhm,
am I doing
mhm.
right now? I mean,
Yeah.
so for those of you who know, look at where that Taurus is in your chart. If you don't know that, just know that there's kind of a sense of calm. um, Full moon tends to bring endings, and new moon brings beginnings in some way.
Mhm, mhm,
So, what you would do also is look at and I don't know, I didn't take note of when that was, when the new moon in Taurus was,
mhm.
whatever started at that time, you're kind of see some closure and endings
Of
to that.
those things.
If you want to share that
Gotcha.
in the comments, if you know what
Yeah.
that is.
Mhm. Very cool. Very cool. And then I saw another question which was a little related to space, and that is
Oh,
what are your
I'm
thoughts
gonna
on
fail at this miserably.
Three-Eye Atlas? I don't know what kites is, but I know what Three-Eye Atlas is. Do you know what the Three-Eye Atlas is?
Yeah, fill us in, Angelo, because I have not a clue. You've got some smart listeners. You didn't tell me that was gonna happen.
Well, I think a few days ago the Three-Eye Atlas was at its closest point that it's going to be. It was on the other side of the sun, and there's a lot of, it's interesting what people see and don't see in their algorithms, right? Because I've asked a couple of people on some of these shows about Three-Eye Atlas, and they're just like, I don't even know what you're talking about.
Wow.
Um, and I know in my algorithm, it's all over the place. Like they're trying to connect with us, the Pleiadians, the Arcturians, they're all on
Mhm.
board, and then there's also the aliens are coming to attack us, and they're, like,
Aw.
so I'm seeing both sides, but I'm seeing a lot of hype about it. And then again, it's like some people don't even know what it is. It's like, I think that's a part of the moment right now, right? Is that people are so kind of surrounded by what they've created and so unaware of what other people are experiencing. And I
Right.
think that's why it's important for what you said earlier about sitting face to face with somebody, looking them in the eyes and talking to them and just being like, hey, I'm a human. Are you a human? Like, like forget about this left and right stuff. Like, we're all humans, and let's just all talk to each other and love each other, and even be like, hey, are you okay? Right? Because I
Ah,
know I'm okay, but I know a lot of people aren't okay. And I want to be a place where someone who's not okay can say, "No, I'm not okay, and can you help me?" And and I want to be that help, you know what I mean? Whatever I can do. And now I don't have a ton of money, you know what I mean? I don't, but I certainly have a lot of love and compassion and can listen to somebody, right? And that's free.
Well, and here's the secret about being a therapist, don't tell anybody. It's being able to just listen and sit, hold space
Yeah.
for somebody who's hurting.
Yeah.
A lot of times, especially, the younger kids, a lot of it is looking them in the eyes and just hearing them and not needing to parent them or preach to them or tell them what they did wrong. Well, maybe next time you'll know. It's being with them
Hmm. Hmm.
and just listening.
Yeah.
Also, I'm not always doing okay. There are times when I'm not, and knowing who I can call and just say, "You know what? Can we just breathe together?"
Right.
There's something to be said for that.
Yeah. A million percent. A million percent. We definitely got to get back to those things for sure. Um,
Yeah.
so I mentioned you, I wanted to talk to you about you being a musician. Tell me more about that, because again, like sometimes we forget, you know, like, oh, that person is an astrologer, but like you also are a person. You know what I mean? Like you're
Thank
not
you.
only about, you know, astrology, you also, you love to sing. You love to sing. As far as what I read from your bio and all of that, is
Oh,
like, you
yes.
know, it's a passion. And you even said it, as far as like, as a part of who you are astrologically, right? That singing has manifested itself as a part of that essence.
Well, it has, interesting thing, and I'd forgotten about it till until just now, so thank you. I had a psychic reading done, and this person didn't even know astrology, so she didn't see it in my chart. She
Mhm,
said, "Tell me about your singing." And this was like 7 or 8 years ago,
mhm,
and
mhm.
I said, beside my grandmother in church whenever I was 10?" Like, there was no telling her about singing. She goes, "I keep seeing you in a red dress singing on stage." And I'm like, "I have no idea." And she goes, "Well, you're supposed to lift people with your voice vibration. So I'd say get busy."
Ooh.
And so in my typical Capricorn style, which I'm very serious about it, and I'm like, "Okay, it's like a job, right? Okay, what can I do?" And I'm methodical about it. What can I do to start realizing this potential that I didn't know I had? And scared to death, right?
Wow.
Scared. So I started looking up all these places to go sing karaoke, and I just made it every weekend. And
Wow.
I was so scared. Well, the first night I show up on stage, the KJ, the karaoke jockey, he said, "We're going to have kamikaze karaoke." And I'm like, "What in the world is that?" He said, "You get on stage, I choose the song, and you have to sing it."
Oh, shit.
That's what I said. I'm talking shaking. But there's a certain release that happens
Mm.
when the crowd knows that you don't know the song and you just have to give it your best try. And that's where I learned I could sing Crazy by Patsy Cline. I mean, like, I never would have sung
Wow.
that before. And to read
What
the
a good one.
audience,
Yeah.
oh my goodness. Fast forward overseas, it became my biggest passion is to sing. A bad night singing is still better than a great night doing just about anything else.
That's
And
great.
you'll never believe where my favorite place to sing was. I
Tell
was
us.
in a kind of a Jack Black kid band. I was in a teen band where I was a vocalist and was surrounded by amazing middle school and high school kids, like amazing, like prodigies.
Mhm, mhm.
But also I had an adult band is in the Middle East.
Wow.
Dude, they love rock, and I love to sing rock, and they
Wow.
love it. So they're in a thobe, like, thumping to Metallica or something.
Wow.
That's where I caught the bug.
That's very, very cool. That's amazing. So I don't think I ever heard a story about that, you know, that a psychic told you you should be singing, and that's what really sparked you into singing. You know what I mean? That's really amazing. Wow.
Because you were saying you're not afraid of dying. I think that's how you said it. And I've started thinking, well, what am I afraid of? I'm afraid of living this life and not meeting what I'm supposed to do for humanity. And that sounds really narcissistic, but
I don't think so.
that's my fear.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah.
So that I had to embrace it. Even if I
Yeah.
failed, I had to
Yeah.
try.
Yeah. Yeah. So do you think you have that fear anymore, or you feel like you found the things that you're supposed to be doing?
I think I've done enough hours, that magical 10,000 hours.
Yeah.
I've done enough hours that the worst thing that happens when I go sing is the crowd doesn't respond.
Right.
You know,
But
there's
you
just some
still get to you're still singing, and you still get to sing. I love
absolute.
it. So I'm a musician as well, and
Oh, yeah?
I love playing music. Just I love playing, and it's interesting because I remember in my 20s, I was playing with my best friend in the basement every night, and eventually we started playing out, and we played. I played in some bands, but like it was just the whole idea of playing, and it was later in life that I realized, oh my God, I'm channeling the moment when I'm playing music. You know what I mean? It's like it's a form of channeling, and yeah,
Sound vibration like the bowls you
it
did.
it,
You
it
know the power of
y-
that.
yeah, exactly. It's always an amazing experience, and again, it was just like, holy moly, here's a way to connect with energy, right? You're connecting with something
Mhm.
inside yourself and outside yourself at the same time. It's just an amazing thing, especially when you're playing with other people. I think it's like a dance. It's like a
The
conversation.
synergism. Yes.
Yeah, it's so good. It's so good. You have a request from Jennifer Rose, asking to
What do you think about that? Jennifer.
put you on the spot there, but you're
No, I
welcome.
can do it.
Yeah, awesome. Let's hear it. Let's do it.
I'm a Leo rising. I live for these moments.
Here we go. Do it.
Okay,
Let's
let's
hear it.
see. How about, since I mentioned it, how about
Make you bigger. There you go.
crazy? I'm crazy for feeling so lonely. I'm crazy, crazy for feeling so blue.
Nice. Awesome.
Thank you very much.
Wonderful.
Jennifer, I'm going to get you for that.
Thank you so much for doing that. No, beautiful. Listen, I feel like, if there is something I believe about humanity, I feel like we're all here to create in some way, right? And that moment you were just creating, right? And creating can be art and drawing and the typical things you think of when you think of creating, but creating can be cooking. Think of how many people love to cook, and think of how many people love to cook for other people, and the energy
Awesome.
exchange that happens, right? When somebody cooks for other people, and they love the meal, and that person is so happy about what they were able to do for other people. Dancing, giving massages, right? Like Reiki. My wife is a Reiki master, and like
Oh,
that
yes.
that's creating. I feel like that's creating. She's summoning energy, she's moving energy, she's actively participating in life. And I think that most things, if you can look at them as creating, then you start to really appreciate life, and it's just a funner journey, like you said. You know what I mean?
Yes.
um,
Yes.
it's
I
a
mean, I think the main thing is doing it with heart. Because I
exactly.
even noticed, Michael, that the times I would sing songs, like I go in and I read a room and what's the kind of music I think they're gonna like.
Hmm.
But
Hmm.
if it's not something I have a heart for, it just doesn't get as the same reception. So
Hmm.
it's better for me to sing a song where I feel passion about it,
Hmm.
even if they don't know it,
Hmm. Hmm.
because they can feel that vibration.
Hmm. 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 Yeah, there's something about music and certain songs, right, that I feel like they were created. Like there's like Here Comes the Sun, right, from the
Uh-huh.
Beatles. Here comes the sun. And when I hear that, it's just there's this energy that kind of swells over, like with the frequency of it, that it's just, and I feel like the Beatles, when they recorded that, when they wrote it, they created this specific frequency that has its own consciousness, and now it just floats through space and time, that song, right? And like, oh, here it comes on the radio when I'm 10 years old. Oh, here it is when I'm 15 years old. It's floating around in space, and I'm encountering it again, that frequency, and feeling it again. It's just kind of the way I look at things, and songs, and things that people have created that have affected other people, right? Like, how many people are affected by the Beatles music,
Have you, seen the research on that out of Japan?
the research on
They've
specifically.
studied, sound, but as related to water,
Oh,
and
yeah, yeah,
like the
absolutely.
the rice test and all of that, but they
Absolutely.
studied
No,
the Beatles' music and the vibration and the effect that it has on people.
I didn't see that specific study about the Beatles music, but I know the context that you're talking about. Absolutely.
Amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. And Jennifer says, my little boy loves that song, Michael. That's,
Aw,
that's one of the things about that music too, right? I feel like the words are so easy for even a young child to understand, you
yes.
know what I mean? And just get the essence of, right? And you hear little kids, singing that stuff. It's amazing. Yeah, it's really amazing. That's such a powerful vibration, music. And again, I think anything that we could do, right, that we can put love into, like you were saying, it becomes that powerful thing, right? Like a recipe, grandma's recipe that was handed down through the generations, right? Like, love was put into that, and the kids experienced that, and they grew up and they were like, ooh, I want to create that vibration and give it to my kids,
It
and
tastes it and I don't think it's just in our minds, it tastes better.
yeah.
That
Mm,
energy and that love that goes into it, it just
absolutely.
tastes better.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Vibration and frequency. That's what we're all about here.
Ugh.
Totally. Totally. So, okay. Astrologically, what do the charts say about this moment, for humanity? Like what can we expect,
Oh,
over the next, for 20, the rest of, we've got a month left in 2025, and next year, let's say 2026, what's in store?
I'll speak generally because 'cause I'm not a they call that mundane astrology, and, I do so much better on the individual level, but the mundane in general is that, no surprise to anyone, this year and next is the big shifts in consciousness. Now, it can be argued it's every year, right? But we're really in kind of a testing period,
Mhm,
and how we handle this. If we don't handle this, we're gonna get an opportunity to handle this.
mhm,
And my understanding from everything that I've watched is that we're going to come through it. We are going to learn, but there's
mhm,
gonna be what I just saw, what spirit just showed me is the chrysalis, the squeezing out of the chrysalis,
mhm, mhm,
the caterpillar and the pain that that is. We're in that right now,
mhm.
and there's gonna be beauty come on the other side, but there's a birth canal. I know it's very general, but that's my understanding.
It's an interesting way to put it. There's a birth canal, right?
Mhm.
And if you think about it, um, how miraculous is that, right? Like,
It is a miracle.
what's on the other side of that, right? It's miraculous. But yeah, you could also, like, now that you put it that way, it could also be scary and painful, like, oh my
It
god,
is scary.
I'm getting squeezed out of, into this uncomfortable, yeah,
And
wow,
what's on the other side, because when you're in the chrysalis, you don't know.
right,
You're just doing what you do, which is
yeah,
it comes naturally.
yeah,
But, we're all very aware, and probably like me, trying not to be aware of all the awfulizing and the pain and the scary, scary
mhm,
that
mhm,
we're being fed. I don't know if that's too negative to say.
No, it's interesting that you say that, and I usually try not to, right? I try not to speak like that to give it power, right? But I will
Yeah.
say something that I've been noticing, especially in the last week. There's this new robot, right, that they released that you can buy. It's not out yet, but it is kind of, and it's one of these humanoid robots that's supposed to be able to do your laundry and do things for you in the house, and you're supposed to live with it, right? But they say that because the technology is not quite there yet, right? Like it can do most things and it can learn, but if you wanted to do something specific, that you can contact the company, and basically what happens is a human operator puts on VR glasses and helps the robot to learn this new thing that you're doing with it, like in your house. And the reason I thought of it is because you said like we're being fed this thing. I feel like we're being shown this future of robots and technology and all of this stuff, but I don't think that's what it's going to look like. And
Yep.
and to be honest, like I have no idea what it's going to look like, but I know it's not going to look like anything that we can even imagine that it's going to look like, right? And I think we're being fed this imaginary vision of what it's going to be like with these robots and with technology, and I think that's all great for the moment, but it's not what it is, you know what I mean, if that makes any sense.
Well, and we are definitely in the, what do they call it? Age of Aquarius.
Hmm.
We are in it, and Aquarius is technology.
Hmm. Hmm.
It is the advancements with all that that entails.
Hmm.
So,
Technology, like human technology, now you're talking? Yeah.
all the above.
Okay.
We're
Okay.
gonna have, we I don't think we've been alive when Neptune, which is now retrograded back into Pisces and will move back, go forward in the fiery Aries. We have no idea what that's bringing.
Hmm. Hmm.
Um, and um, Aquarius, what is the planet? Pluto is in Aquarius, and that is major. Pluto is called the planet of the Phoenix. I mean, like it takes what we have and completely turns it upside down for the greater good eventually, but
Right, right,
we're there.
right,
Innovation, transition, things we can't even imagine.
right.
I
That
think about what it was like when I graduated high school. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, that I think that's what I've been feeling like. It's not gonna, like, we can't even begin to say, oh, it's gonna look like this or this or this, because it's not gonna look like
Yeah.
anything. It's gonna be a whole change in perception. Like you just said, we're gonna see things that we can't even imagine, that that exist, but we're
And
gonna
some
see it.
good, a
Yeah.
lot
Oh
of
yeah,
good,
absolutely,
amazing.
absolutely. Yeah, it sounds a little scary, but I don't say it with fear. I say it with excitement, like, oh my God, like I can't, like, I almost say it with, like, I don't even want to think about it because I can't. I can't imagine it. So like, why bother? Let me just enjoy this moment as best as I can. And like I said, I've made certain decisions about who I want to be, how I want to run my life, how I want to see the things around me happening. And I know that has been very powerful, right? That's allowed me to really, enjoy life in a much easier way than I can remember when I was a kid, not really, you know, navigating so easily. I guess
Yep.
that's a good way to say it. Um, uh, Lynn saying the robot is now more predictive programming, a sneak peek, and getting us accustomed to these concepts. That's exactly what I'm
Well
saying.
said.
That's what I'm saying. Like, we're supposed to just, like, I've been waiting till, like, they're out in the street, you know what I mean? And it's like my neighbor has one, and it's like, but it's gonna happen. But again, I don't think that's the entire vision of the future. Now, you mentioned something interesting about technology, and let me know what you think about this, and we can kind of close on this, I guess.
Sure.
Um, I had these thoughts before AI came along. I had these thoughts about technology and about how technology is something that allows us as mankind, as humanity, to actually have a part in our own evolution, right? And what I meant by that was, I might have said this before on the show, is the idea of like a cochlear implant.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah.
So like a cochlear implant allows somebody who hasn't had those nerves stimulated and hasn't been able to hear by stimulating the nerves with electricity and energy and vibration, right?
Have those
But
brain
what's that?
and to stimulate that part of the brain.
Stimulate that part of the brain, right? But here's the thing that I thought about technology, right? That's a machine, and we have machines that can hear parts of the spectrum that humans can't hear, right?
Yeah.
Ultrasonic sound and things like that. Well, why can't a cochlear implant have an update to it that's like, okay, now suddenly you can hear ultrasonic sounds, right? You
Wow.
can see ultraviolet, you know what I mean? Your senses now can be enhanced through technology.
And I don't know that it's probably not on its way. There's so many advancements that we don't know about yet.
I'm more than certain that it's probably already available, right? Just not
Yeah.
to the public. But again, I guess my point was, years ago, before AI even started, I was like, I think that technology is going to be a part of human evolution.
Yes.
You
And there
know,
are some of us like me that are dragged kicking and screaming
yeah,
into it
absolutely.
and
I think,
finally embrace it.
and I do think, again, not to get into any sort of negative thing, but I do think that's going to be another big divide that we face, is the humanists and the transhumanists. You know what I mean? People are going to be like, no way do I want any sort of sensors put into my body. And then there's going to be people like, hey man, give me that ultraviolet light. I want to see it. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Um,
until I get a diagnosis, in which case I'll be, "Give me what you have."
right.
You know?
Exactly. Sensory enhancements are on the way. Yeah. Listen, it's an exciting time to be alive. Who knows what it's going to
Well
be like?
said.
You know what I mean? I know I've been through a lot of years and things have definitely changed. It's a way different vibe right now than it's ever been in life. And,
Ooh.
you know, you can decide to subscribe to the fear, or you can decide to subscribe to the love. Those are my final words. Do you have any closing thoughts or final words for
Well, you
everyone?
make me mindful of, the last, mediumship group that I got to be a part of, and the message that came across to me from one of my guides was, "Fight your fear with funny." And
Fight
I wrote it's
fear with
written on
fun.
my mirror in my bathroom, "Fight fear with
Love
funny."
it. I love it.
That's my final passing
I
words, a
love the
reminder to me
final
and
word. You know what? It's so funny because I didn't say it this time, but usually when I close the show, I say, "Hey, do you have any final words of wisdom, any words of love, or any dad jokes?" And
oh, good lord, I'm so against them.
I didn't say the dad jokes, but you said you got a message to fight the fear with funny.
Fight the fear with funny.
I love it. I love it. It's a great message. Wow.
Such a good group here, Michael. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone, for all the support.
Perfect. Yes. Thank you. Thank you. And thank you for being and Jules says unconditional love, always faith.
Mm,
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
namaste.
Yeah, you're wonderful to talk to. Thank you for
Thank you,
this.
Michael.
Uh,
It's flown by. Wow.
yeah, a great hour of love and intention. We can put it in the books, and hopefully I'll see you again.
I
um
would
I,
love that.
I know for me on Thursday I do not have a live stream of consciousness. I'm going to the Long Island Elite gala that I worked on all summer, the website and the graphics and
Nice.
stuff. So there's a big Triple Crown horse race themed gala that I'm going to. I don't get to do that stuff often, but I'm going to be doing that on Thursday. But I'll see you guys back here next week for Holding Space. Jennifer Rose, thank you for the loving words of everything.
Always supportive.
And Zip Zap Zoom and Jennifer McCormick as well. All right, as I look for my outro music. All right, folks, peace. Have a good week. We'll see you next week. Bye-bye.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Michael.